It continues, of course, on our 24-hour streaming service. That is CBSN. You can watch it at cbsnews.com or download our CBS News app on your phone or connected TV. There will be more on your local news on this CBS station and tonight on the CBS Evening News. This has been a CBS News special report. I'm Major Garrett in Washington.
For news 24 hours a day, go to cbsnews.com.
Garrett here in Washington. Let's bring in our panel. Jody Armour, Lorenzo Boyd, Jessica Levinson, and Keir Dougal. Jody is a law professor at the University of Southern California Gould School of Law. Lorenzo is Vice President for Diversity and Inclusion and Chief Diversity Officer at the University of New Haven. Jessica is a CBS News legal contributor and professor at Loyola Law School. Keir is a CBS News legal contributor and former federal prosecutor. Okay, we've got all the titles out of the way. It's great to have you all back with me. Let's continue our conversation. Jody, this process of the victim impact statement, it is not a brand new thing to criminal justice, but when I started covering police news back in the mid-'80s, these did not exist. They are an outgrowth of a sort of victims' justice pursuit that went on in the 80s and 90s. Maybe in some jurisdictions they existed back then, but when I was covering police news in Texas in the mid-'80s, they didn't exist. What is the general importance of victim impact statements, and are they for the community at large to get a sense and to hear from the victims, or do they genuinely influence or impact the actual sentencing a judge is about to hand down?
Well, we just heard some impact statements that I think, Major, you agree, were hard to ignore, were hard to not feel very moved by. And lawyers and judges are people too, right? So people are going to be moved by those kinds of appeals. We can say all we want about the rule of law. The rule of law has lots of interstices that allow for discretion. And through that discretion, people's humanity, their humanness comes out and affects their decision making. So victim impact statements are controversial and should be, though, because they actually make the amount of blame and punishment we're going to heap on somebody often turn on something that's beyond their control compared to someone else. For example, let's say we had two people driving negligently down the street. Each hits a pedestrian. One pedestrian doesn't have any family members that'll come to court and give impact statements. The other pedestrian who was killed has a large family, gives a lot of impact statement, so evidence, and is gut-wrenching in when they give it about how much they're going to miss and lose and miss the loved one that's lost. So the first defendant may be looking at a much reduced sentence compared to the second, based on a fortuity over which neither had control. That is whether the person injured happened to have a family or not. So a lot of times the victim impact statements kind of distract us from what is supposed to be the focus of the criminal justice process, blame and punishment process, which is the subjective culpability of the defendant, not, fortuities beyond his or her control.
Jessica, Judge Cahill was pretty brief in his description of the sentence and the underlying reasons behind it, saying, please read my 22-page memo attached to this. Is that typical for judges? I know you want to read that 22-page memo. Trust me, I want to read it. But do you think that that is consistent with the intense scrutiny the judge knew he would face, whatever he decided, and he wanted to have a basis separate from whatever he said at the bench to talk about it?
Yes, I think it is consistent with the fact that there is everything kind of abnormal about this case. I don't want to imply that police brutality is a one-off situation. What I want to imply is that this case is unique in the sense that there are...
Well, anyways, as you guys can see, Derek has got sentenced to 25 and a half years, which is a little bit under the maximum, which I think he should have got the maximum, but you guys could, so that means he still got a shot at freedom, probably get some good time, get up out of there in about 15 years or something. I don't know exactly how it works, but he should have got the whole 30 years. He should have got life, but it is what it is, man. He still got to sit down for a little bit. still crazy that you know, George is not able to come back. His freedom is gone, but this man still got a shot at freedom. But I guess we got to be thankful it made it this far, right? But anyways, man, I'm out of here, y'all. Peace and blessings. Everybody have a blessed day, y'all. Much love.